What's going on, everybody? Chase on Two Wheels here at Mountain Motorsports in Roswell for another BMW First Ride. Guys, today we are riding a 2015 BMW R9T. This kind of classic kind of vibe. It is a used model. If you guys want to check this model out or whatever else is in the used inventory here at the Mountain Motorsports in Roswell, we'll have a link in the description for you. So guys, it is a used model, so what we're looking at modifications wise, I believe those blinkers are aftermarket, these levers are aftermarket, the acro exhaust is most definitely aftermarket. I believe this is a just modification. I don't think the seat or the bike comes with this kind of seating thing, but today should be a pretty cool ride. You guys know that Mountain is not a BMW dealer, so anytime I see a BMW in there, I'm like, gotta ride this thing. So let's try this old school thing out. And yes, no comments about the license plate. There is none, so this should be fun. So guys, that's what it looks like. That's what it sounds like. Now, before we get on here, I gotta tell you guys about the sponsor for this video, these little Loop earplugs. I cannot ride without my earplugs now, and I'm gonna tell you guys about them because they're the sponsor of the video, and then we'll get to it.
Guys, this video is sponsored by Loop earplugs. They make these really unique looking earplugs that the guys in the shop and I have been using for a while now. These earplugs look so much different from normal earplugs because they don't just block noise, they allow you to customize the level of noise you want. So one of my main issues I personally have with riding is that riding around with no hearing protection in can seriously damage your ears long term. That road noise that is always there is a killer, especially if you're in a performance helmet made of something like carbon fiber. I do have to warn you guys though, once you try these things out, it becomes really hard to ride without your Loop earplugs in. I've also noticed that while I've had these in and playing music in my helmet, I'm able to hear it better because the earplugs get rid of all of the wind noise but allow the music I'm playing to be heard way better. Oh, and if you're wondering how they work on a helmet, even a dude like me with giant ears has no problem at all getting the helmet on while they're in, and I have never had them pop out. So Loop has a few different models of earplugs ranging from the $15 range to the $35 range. I've been using the Experience Pro models and honestly cannot ride without them now. I also highly recommend using their carrying case. I just keep the carrying case on my motorcycle keys and I always have them with me. If you guys want to try out a pair of Loop earplugs for yourself, I've got a link for you in the description, and if you use the code LoopXChase, you can get 20% off your purchase at that link down below. Thanks Loop for sponsoring this video and helping me keep my hearing safe. And now, let's get back to the video.
Alright guys, I appreciate you sitting through the sponsorship stuff. Let's see what this thing's all about. Let's get it cranked up. Like a damn tractor, holy crap. Alright guys, let's get in front of this door and see if you guys can see me. So you guys know I'm 5'10", got a 32-inch inseam. I've got slightly bent legs on both legs. Weight wise, little heavy bike we got going on today. That is not going to stop us from having a good time. So let's get her going. Guys, before we head out of here, tell you guys about our Discord channel. It's full of motorcyclists. So if you guys are in a Discord, you want to hang out with some people, like-minded individuals, go check out our Discord. We'll have a link for that down below. So let's get going on this 2015 BMW R9T. Guys, this is a bike I've seen for a while, and I love the look of it, but Never have I gotten the opportunity to ride one before today, so I am looking forward to what we have going on. So this bike's rocking out BMW's classic boxer engine. It's a 1170cc engine that only has 110 horsepower and 80-ish foot-pounds of torque. Kind of strange, really low power numbers for such a large displacement engine. So I'm very interested to see how this rides. But before we get to how it rides, guys, let's talk about my body position. My legs are in a pretty relaxed position. My upper half, though, is leaned over a little more than I would have kind of expected for a bike like this. And as you guys can probably see from our camera car footage, my arms are pretty straight out, like having to lean over the motorcycle. I gotta admit, it's kind of an odd body position. The top half doesn't make me feel very sporty, but the bottom half of my body definitely makes me feel, you know, kind of comfortable, kind of uprighty. That's the vibe I'm getting. So guys, the seat, we'll talk about the seat later in the video, but for right now, it's kind of got a weird pressure point at the bottom of my butt. To be honest, I'm not super comfortable on this bike. It just feels kind of odd. You know, we'll see how it ends up towards the end of the ride, but as of right now, the body position is just confusing me a little bit. Another thing about this bike, guys, is that it's actually air-cooled. Even more towards that kind of old-school vibe, right? You got the air-cooled bike, which is kind of typical for the Scrambler models, at least for the Ducati Scramblers. They have those as air-cooled as well. And we obviously have no modes. We have no real electronics other than ABS on here. Granted, it is a little bit older model, a 2015. You know, for a BMW, typically these days when I've ridden BMWs, they've been teched out. So it's interesting to ride a kind of raw BMW. And from what I understand, the engine in this thing is the same engine that they put in their big GS. So, wow. I don't know what I feel about that thing. I will say one thing, and this is not really towards the bike, but this lever. So guys, one, the clutch lever is really, really heavy. And what that means is it takes a lot of energy to pull the clutch in. The interesting thing that I'm wanting to show you guys is the levers that the person that had this bike chose are strange. So if you notice, that lever has this little cut in area right here. These lines are sharp. That's just like cutting into my finger. Terrible choice for levers on this bike. I don't really have too much of a problem with the brake. We'll be watching those as the day progresses. The power delivery is strange. I mean, let's get on a little bit. And there's like, well, there's a lot of shaking, but there's like no engine braking at all. Like, look, I don't slow down barely any. So what if I just let off the gas? I just almost go into like a cruise. Like, this is almost the same as pulling the clutch in and just rolling. Actually, I can barely feel a difference between those. That's also strange. This is a weird bike, guys. I think I just noticed the transmission when I go from first and I shift down to double check that I'm in first. It has one of those transmissions where the shift pedal just pushes down and there's no letting me know that the bike's in first, so it just keeps pushing down with no resistance. I am a huge not fan of that. I hate that stuff. This is not looking good for the BMW R9T. Oh my gosh, we're gonna give it a fair shake, but my goodness. Brakes don't seem bad. We got Brembos up front. We should be okay. So guys, watch the shift. It just clicks down. I get no resistance down there. I personally hate that. You guys might disagree, but I can't stand that. We don't seem to have a problem getting into neutral, so at least for that. But look at the bro. Look how much it's just shaking. All right, let's get this thing leaned over and see if that makes up for anything. No, it feels bottom heavy as hell. Yeah, I got no problem with the brakes. Suspension's really soft though. The bike is just diving down like a dang supermoto when I'm pulling in. that front brake, guys, look how much it's shaking without us moving. My goodness. That's not really translating too much to my feet, but I think that's because of these rubber tops of the foot pegs. Yeah, I can feel the gas tank. I mean, you can see the gas tank shaking. Shaky bike, man. This thing just really lacks power, guys. That's opened up all the way, and it's just not pulling me forward much at all. And it's shaking the whole time. So it's not really that confidence inspiring. And the steering is just, you know, like I tried to get out of the way of that pothole right there, and I moved my handlebars to the side, but I just barely moved. Maybe I'm missing something? This thing is just a strange motorcycle. What I'm kind of concerned about is when we get up here on the highway, we've got no wind protection and a sluggish machine, both in power delivery and agility. I don't know how this is gonna go. We've got no power mode, so I've got all the engine, and the bike's got 5,200 miles on it, so it's broken in. Huh, okay. This should be fun. While we're stuck at a red light, guys, let's talk about the dash. Pretty old school, really nothing going on. Everything's manual. My God, the motorcycle just shifting to the side totally when we rev up. But yeah, we got a pretty old school dash. Nothing really fancy there. I don't hate the dash. I think it fits the rawness of the bike. I don't know where the weight is on this bike. It feels like it's really low, and it makes the bike steer really strange, or feel weird when I'm steering. It's not, I don't really think modifying how it steers. All right, let's see what the highway is all about. Do we have to rev it up or something? No, power just drops off, and then again, no engine braking. All right. The whole no engine braking thing is weird, and guys, I don't mean there's no engine braking, but it's very light. It's got like a medium level of power, but nothing good. Obviously has plenty to get you through traffic. So guys, as far as the wind goes, I'm feeling it right at my chest and up. It's honestly not as bad as you would think, because I told you the body position has your upper body leaning forward. So you're kind of leaning into the wind, so that makes it a little easier. Let's see what she'll get up to. Plenty of speed. All right, 130 does not feel fun on this thing. Guys, the steering, it's so strange. Even at speed, when I make a move on the handlebars, it's like I make my move and then the bike has to eventually catch up. The steering lags behind the input that I'm giving it. I never felt that before, so there's that. Yeah, it's like the bike is time traveling, and it's in a previous time than I am. I say, hey, do something, and then eventually it happens. It's not at all instant or even close. Man, I am really excited for this big turn, said Chase jokingly. All right, guys, let's see what this big turn's about. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not, I don't feel like I'm unstable right now, but I'm just bouncing all around. I don't feel locked on. I don't feel dangerously bouncing around, but that is not confidence inspiring at all. Even when I shift, guys, the bike even then rotates sideways. And it is shaft driven, you know, the engine is parallel, but I don't know if it's not parallel, but it goes sideways. It's weird. So let me collect my thoughts real quick, guys, and let's jump over to the camera car for the cardo spot and see what the guys in the camera car think.
BMW R9T. I think this bike looks wonderful. I really like how they did this kind of rear seat design. It's very similar in design and shape to what we did on the CBR 1000 for Wreck Bike Rebuild. So I think they did a great job on it. I love the design of the bike with the engines coming out the sides and the single headlights. Very classic look. Have to see how it rides.
I do also like the retro styling of it. I like the combination of colors they used. You know, everything has a nice flowing matching color scheme to it. It is a really good-looking machine. Never was a huge fan of the BMW Boxer engines. Yeah, they do that weird grab-the-throttle, sideways torquey thing that is really hard to get used to, but it definitely has a real cool look to it.
Thank you very much, guys, in the camera car, and even more so, thank you, Cardo, for supplying the Bluetooth communication for the Chaseontwowheels First Ride series. If you guys want to grab a Cardo system, we highly recommend them, and a link to them will be in the description, as well as a discount. So if you guys want to get a discount on a Cardo system, find it down there. Guys, I'm trying to mentally figure out what I feel about this motorcycle, and I'm having a hard time. The bike is not a slow motorcycle, just, you know, generally, but for a almost 1200cc bike, this thing is putting out next to nothing. I would compare it speed-wise to maybe something like a 700 or an 800 naked bike, maybe. Probably more like a 650 without all the punt. The lack of engine braking and the steering being kind of delayed makes me feel kind of weird about this thing. I'm trying to figure out who was this bike made for, and I'm having a hard time figuring that out. Not real confidence inspiring in a turn. Power delivery is a little lackluster, especially given the engine size. The bike is really shaky, and you know, some bikes that are shaft driven have that cool little like rotation when you give it some gas, or you know, when you rev the bike up. On the R9T, it just makes it feel unstable, and not in a good way. If we rev it up, I'll show you what I mean. Bike shooting sideways, very weird. We were talking about the buttons in the cluster before we jumped on the highway, guys, and I'll just go back to that. I feel, I know this is like a BMW thing, the little access panel here for their electronic GPS or something like that. This thing feels techie. I mean, it is techie. It's a spot for you to click in your tech stuff. I feel like this motorcycle doesn't really need that. You know, like we've got this really old school looking dash. The bike just seems kind of old school, which is not a problem. I don't really like mixing old school with tech, and if you do so, you got to do it in a pretty classy way. I don't feel like it's done really well here. I'm sorry to not be saying great stuff about this bike, guys. When I decided I was going to ride this bike today, I was really excited. I love the way this bike looks, and we'll get off the bike eventually and do a little walk around. But I don't know, guys, I'm riding this bike around, and I think because of the way the bike looks and the way the size of it visually when you're standing next to it, I feel like I want this bike to have grunty, low down power, and I want it to sound real throaty. And we're not getting that with this exhaust, and we're not getting that power delivery with this engine. And I maybe my expectations were just really off, but this was not the experience I expected with this motorcycle. God, that is such a puny sound for an 1100cc twin. Like, what? And I mean, obviously, you know, sound is... Whoa. Glad we got Brembos, man. Sound is obviously subjective. You know, you guys might like the sound of this thing. I'm just really not here for it. I don't think it fits this machine. I kind of want to throw it to my BMW guys watching this video. Am I missing something with the R9T? Because I've ridden some BMW bikes that have been phenomenal in the past. If I was riding this thing blind and I didn't know and all the badging was taken off, I would have never put this as being made by BMW. And you guys are going to have to let me know that know more about the BMW brand and the R9T specifically, or the Boxer engine. Like, am I missing something entirely? Is there an understood market for this thing? Like, who buys this bike? This thing brand new when it came out was $15,000, guys. Other than somebody that buys motorcycles 100% on looks, I can't figure out who this thing is for. So guys, I'm gonna keep trying to figure out what I feel about this motorcycle. We're gonna pull off into this parking lot and do a little walk around of this. I feel like I've got to be missing something. All right, guys, let's get off this thing and do a little walk around. As you guys know, 2015 BMW R9T. Super cool looking motorcycle. I do truly love the way it looks, but there have not been many motorcycles that I have disliked the ride of this much. I love the look of the single-sided swing arm. As you guys can see, it's got the, only one side, and the swing arm kind of goes in right there and comes out on this side. It's shaft driven, so you don't have any chain. Cool looking bike. It rides really strange. I love the tailpiece, like Luke pointed out in the Cardo spot. This is kind of a similar vibe tail-wise that we're going with our Wreck Bike Rebuild bike. We'll show you guys what it looks like right here, but it's not all about looks, I guess, So yeah, guys, that's about all I got. But before we head out of here, we need to take a photo for Instagram. If you guys aren't following us over on Instagram, it's at C2DubPics. That photo will be on our Instagram page. We'd love you guys to go check it out if you're interested. We post a lot of behind the scenes of what we do here on the channel, as well as photos of bikes that we're riding. So if you guys want to go give that a follow, much appreciated. We're also on TikTok at Chaseontwowheels, so go check us out over there. We're trying to make some cool content over there as well. But without further ado, let's get back on this thing and figure out who's it for. Oh, also, before we get riding it, guys, look does it look tiny to you guys? Compare it to a car. It's kind of small, right? The photos that I've seen of this thing before I saw it in person, this thing seemed huge, but it's not. Or at least in person, it's not. All right, let's finish this thing up, I guess. I'm still just confused. All right, so guys, as we finish up here on the first ride of the 2015 BMW R9T, my final thoughts. This is a cool looking motorcycle to me, and that's about all I have good to say about it. The seat, after having ridden it for a couple hours, is very uncomfortable. Couldn't see myself wanting to ride on this thing for a while. It's a naked, so like the wind protection's not there. It's not too bad because of the upper body position, but the center of gravity feels too low and makes the steering sluggish. The bike just shakes to all hell and doesn't make a really confidence-inspiring ride that makes me want to go fast. It feels a little better when I'm just revving the hell out of it, but it also doesn't feel stable when I'm revving the hell out of it, so I'm not incentivized to do that. In loving the way the bike looks, in my head I go, well, maybe it's just a fun bike to kind of cruise around town with. I don't think even then, because the ride is not fun, it's not enjoyable. I'm not having a bad time. I mean, it's a beautiful day. I'm out here riding motorcycles, so like, what could be better? This motorcycle, brand new, was $15,000, and right now it's like $12,000. And I could think of almost every other motorcycle that would be more fun than this, and I just can't figure out who this bike is for. If you're a BMW fanboy that wants a naked bike, I guess this is all you've got. I'm not crazy familiar with the BMW line, but I feel like this doesn't do service to how good some of the BMW motorcycles are. I've ridden the S1000, the S1000RR, the XR, the Single R. I haven't gotten to ride a BMW GS yet, but you know, whenever I get that opportunity, I'm going to. This is not what a BMW feels like to me, at least. I also don't understand the power. Like, did they just massively detune this engine so that it could run forever? You know, because it's not going to stress the engine out at all. I'm really curious what's up with this thing, and hopefully it's good for somebody, you know? I must not be the target demographic at all. So guys, as we finish up our first ride here, do me a favor. If you're an owner of this motorcycle, or if you just understand the BMW line better than I do, it won't take much. But let me know in the comments, guys. I think BMW makes phenomenal motorcycles, and then I ride this and I'm like, wait, that's a BMW? It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like what I expect out of a BMW bike. So I have this feeling like I'm missing something. I don't have some sort of understanding. So I would love it if you guys could help me and everybody else watching this video out. Go in the comments. Let me know, why is this bike a thing? Where did it come from? And what is the purpose here? But guys, that's all I got. Not a fan of this bike at all. I would honestly probably put it right now in my bottom 5 motorcycles that I've ever ridden. It's literally right next to the Suzuki GSX 250R, honestly. Which sucks. I hate to put it there, but you know, I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest to how the bike makes me feel. But guys, I'm Chase on Two Wheels. I appreciate you riding around with me. If you guys enjoyed this video or got any enjoyment out of it, I would massively appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. And if you want to watch more motorcycle content that we put out, feel free to subscribe. You guys go ride safe, and we'll see you on the next one. Later. Outro crew, what's up? If you guys are in the outro crew, that means you made it to the end of the video, and I really appreciate that. If you watched this much of this video, I expect you guys have already hit the like button. Thank you for doing that. And if you are first time in the outro crew, I need you to make a comment, and when you make a comment, I want you to put OC in that comment. That stands for outro crew. That lets me know that you guys actually made it through the entire video. But guys, please tell me I'm off with this motorcycle. Tell me that it's like that hidden DRZ 400 Supermoto video that I did. It was carbureted and I didn't have something on correctly. I think I had the choke all the way engaged or something. I judged a motorcycle in an incorrect way. You guys are gonna have to let me know, am I doing that right here? Like, why am I not? Why do I feel like this motorcycle should not be made? I gotta be off, right? Yeah, I don't know. Let me know in the comments, guys. Love you guys longing for making it through the entire video. And I'll see you on the next one, where it'll hopefully be a better bike than this. Even though it's not gonna be hard to do that. All right, guys. Later.